Have you ever thought, how do I want to feel at the end of the year? And today we get the joy of talking about how do you want 2026 to end? How do you want to feel when it ends? Any idea? Maybe you haven't thought of that. Maybe you haven't answered that before. Well, if you haven't seen or listened to or read last week's episode, I suggest you do because talking about your goal setting and are you actually setting goals that you want, still want, and permission to let go of the ones that you don't. But if we had to think about just kind of ending the year now, what would you feel guilty for not finishing? Hmm. Is what you said in January the same as how the things that you want by the end of the year? Well, January is usually when we set goals. It's a great time, but January also is when we have the least amount of information about how the year is actually going. Now we know, right? We are moving to the end of our summer, coming into September, past the half of year mark. So far we know what worked. We know what didn't. We know what we need to change. We also know what changed. We know what took more energy than expected. We know what matters more or less than it did at the beginning of the year. So this is almost like that, like mid-year reality. And rather than having a mid-year crisis, we are going to just recalibrate. Use this time to do that. And so my priorities have evolved during 2026. I had good intentions, I set certain goals. But for example, like I didn't realize how much my one woman show chasing would become a very big creative focus, which is fantastic. Just needs more of my time and energy and more support from other people, professionals in theater. Also, Virtual Assistant Made Easy needs a little bit of a different direction than I had planned in order to scale. Great things I'm learning, wonderful things we're putting in place. My team's really excited about it. But again, that was a change. My ideas around community has been evolving as I have these kind of almost invite only or more curated events for women making six plus figures, multiple six and into seven figures with their own established businesses. And it's also, there's been changes in my energy, my health, my family life. Little plug for hormones. Yay. Up my estrogen, feeling so much better. And so some goals may still matter to you. That's kind of last week's topic. But other goals are not a fit, right? And new desires have come up that we couldn't have predicted in January. And that's why doing it in September is so helpful, but a little bit like starting it from scratch and thinking about how we want it to end. Because what I see in women is we often hold ourselves to goals that were created by an earlier version of ourselves. And that could be at the beginning of the year. And now at this part of the year, it's not how we want to end the year. And we'll feel guilty if we change direction. We'll feel guilty if we let something go that we committed to. I often feel like even just updating a goal is failing. But you can make a different choice, right? When you have new information, you make a different choice. That isn't failure. That's changing direction. That's making a smart move, whatever it is. It's also awareness and leadership and responding honestly to the season you're in. And while last episode I talked about what you want, or the goal is still what you want, we want to be thinking about now moving into the feeling we want to have at the end of the year so there's no regrets, so that we fit everything in. It's kind of like at the beginning of a holiday when you're touring around, let's say Europe or wherever you are, you're like, I want to see this, I want to do this, I want to do that. And then you get to a point and you say, ah, we don't have time for everything. So what could we actually put in? And someone says, I really want to see this place, or I really want to eat at this restaurant. And so you start to narrow it down to the most important pieces of your vacation. And the same thing is around our year. Let's put together the most important pieces. Now, one of my clients, she came into coaching, she had so many unfinished goals. And she thought this year sucked because I have so many goals I haven't achieved. And she felt that because she hadn't completed as much as was planned, that she felt like horrible. She felt so behind. She felt like, am I procrastinating? Am I lazy? Like, what's my issue? In coaching, she started to realize, okay, these goals still matter. These had quietly expired. I like kind of thinking of that. It's like when something in your fridge, like my cottage cheese this morning, somehow it's like, how did I miss this date? How is this? Now I have to throw it away. And some of the goals even weren't hers. Plus, she had way too many goals. And you can be ambitious, but let's not put like 20 goals down. Let's pick our top five, ideally three, because there's a lot of things that just come up that you'll do as well. And so when we looked at that and I said, how do you want to feel by the end of the year? Where would you not have any regrets? What needs to be accomplished? She got so much relief because it helped her to choose fewer and more meaningful priorities. And having that clarity, she could start focusing and using that energy where it really needed to go. And her confidence increased because she was moving forward and making progress. But doing it alone is hard, right? When you're looking at your own goals, everything can feel equally important. Like, what do I choose? And it can be hard to know, what do I keep? What do I release? What do I prioritize or even add in? And you can make the choice based on urgency. I only have this amount of time. I got to get these things done, or I got to choose the ones that are faster because I have so many, rather than impact and rather than the importance to you and how you want to feel at the end of the year. The worst thing is to look back and say, I didn't achieve what I wanted. I'm not happy with how the year ended. Good riddance, 2026. Bring on 2027. And then you just carry over those hundreds of goals, kind of like holding on to a pair of jeans from high school that you were like, it'd be great if I could fit into these again. It probably won't happen. Or even pre-kids. I'm probably going way too far back. That was a long time ago, like 30 years ago. Okay. Now, you may also keep something on your list because you've already invested time in it, right? You've already put time, you've already started going down that road. But if you keep going down a road you don't want to be on, you're just wasting more time, more energy, more resources. And at the end of the year, you're going to be like, that was stupid. So having this break is going to be really helpful to kind of reset, recalibrate. And having that outside coaching and having mastermind support, it can help you to see what will make the greatest difference now. Or even how can we have one goal help you to satisfy five? I call that dynamic goals. Because when I can do one thing and make it give me an ROI times five, times 10, whatever it may be, even just times two, that's so much better because I can cross more off my list and achieve more in the same amount of time. This is why I would love for you to check out She's Gold. This is going to give you that chance to pause, make intentional decisions. You can be confident about what is coming next for you, right? You don't have to carry a goal forward that's old, that doesn't fit. You can start to plan things based on how do you want to feel at the end of the year, getting clear on priorities, every area of life, and the ones that really matter most. Then you're building that realistic plan. And you don't even have to think about how to get there because you have coaching, you have support around it. And then the accountability. So the priorities that you do choose, the plan that does get put into place, that all doesn't disappear beneath everything else that's probably going to get thrown at you. You know, the fires that we often have to put out. And then you'll be able to move into the next 6 months. I know it was only September, October, November, December, only four left in the year, but we don't want to stop at the end of December. We want to go right through, right? Carry things through. So you'll be able to move through the next 6 months with direction rather than another overwhelming list. So check out in the show notes, there'll be a link there. Apply for She's Gold. It is a speed course, a race course to reach your goals. Had some really great results for my clients. And this isn't about squeezing another year's worth of goals into these last 4 months of the year. It's not. This isn't a rescue mission because you're, struggling and you're drowning. No, 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 no. It's just an opportunity to make an honest decision about like what matters now? What jazzes me up? Would I be so disappointed if I didn't finish by the end of the year? Because you don't need January to begin again. If you're waiting for January, my goodness, please apply. You won't have to worry about kind of delaying your progress. Really just need that clarity about what you genuinely want next. So applications for She's Gold are open until September 4th at 11:59 p.m. PST. And please apply as soon as possible because once, like, first come, first serve, and once the seats are filled, the seats are filled. So jump in now. As I wrap up here, I just want you to remember that you don't need another year to start over. You just need an honest answer to what do you want next and how do you want to feel at the end of the year. If you haven't yet, hit subscribe, share with a friend, and it would mean so much to me if you could write a review if you haven't yet. And when you do, take a screenshot of it, send it over to team@dianerolston.com with your mailing address so I can send you a little something special in the mail. Until next time, stay dynamic. Bye.